The rain drizzled softly over Portland, blurring the edges of the cityscape outside my window. I sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by the familiar clutter of my life. Coffee brewed in the background, its rich aroma mingling with the faint scent of lavender from a candle I had lit earlier. The morning light filtered through the sheer curtains, casting gentle shadows across the room, yet I felt an unsettling heaviness in my chest. My husband had left for a business trip just days ago, leaving me to navigate our quiet home alone. The routine was all too predictable: breakfast, tidying up, and then a long day of solitude stretched before me. I glanced at my phone, half hoping for a message that would break the monotony. Instead, there was silence, just like every other day. The weight of dissatisfaction lingered in my thoughts. My marriage felt like a comfortable pair of shoes, familiar and safe but no longer exciting. I had devoted years to building a life that revolved around stability and predictability. Yet now, as I stared out at the glistening streets below, I couldn't shake off the sense that something vital was missing. Just as I began to lose myself in contemplation, there was a knock at the door. It startled me from my reverie. I opened it to find Jake, a young friend of my husband's who had recently moved to Portland. He stood there with an easy smile and an armful of flowers. "Surprise! Thought you could use some company," he said cheerfully. I blinked in surprise but stepped aside to let him in. Jake was 20 years younger than me, with tousled hair and an infectious energy that seemed to fill the room instantly. As he placed the flowers on the table, a vibrant mix of daisies and sunflowers, his presence shifted something within me. "Thanks," I managed to say as he poured himself a cup of coffee without asking. We settled into conversation easily enough, talking about his new job and my life in Portland, but beneath our casual banter lay an undercurrent that surprised me. With each laugh we shared and every story exchanged, I felt a flicker of something unexpected stirring inside me. "You know," Jake said after a moment's pause, "you have this amazing vibe about you." His compliment caught me off guard. A warmth spread through my cheeks as I met his gaze. It felt both thrilling and terrifying. No one had looked at me like that in ages, not since before life had settled into its predictable rhythm. "Really?" My voice came out softer than intended. "Yeah," he replied with genuine enthusiasm. "You're interesting, you've got stories." I smiled awkwardly, unsure how to respond. The compliment lingered between us like an unspoken invitation hanging heavy in the air. The more we talked, the more I felt drawn to him, not just because he saw me differently but because he represented something exhilaratingly new. As our conversation continued with ease, I found myself leaning closer across the table, captivated by his youthful energy and carefree spirit, the stark contrast to my own life weighed down by expectations and responsibilities. It stirred something inside me that had long been dormant, a longing for spontaneity and adventure. But with each passing moment came an undeniable wave of guilt crashing against this newfound excitement. My loyalty to my husband clawed at me from within. It whispered reminders of commitment and fidelity while simultaneously urging me to explore this unexpected connection with Jake. The clock on the wall ticked ominously as if mocking my internal struggle. Could I really allow myself this fleeting moment? Just one afternoon without consequences? Jake leaned back slightly, his eyes sparkling with mischief as he suggested we take a walk along the waterfront later, his favorite spot in Portland filled with lush greenery and vibrant views overlooking the river. "Let's go see what all this rain has stirred up," he said playfully. A part of me hesitated. It felt reckless to step outside our comfortable boundaries even for just a few hours. But another part, the one yearning for freedom, nudged gently against reason until it became impossible to ignore. "Okay," I agreed finally, surprising myself with how easily those words slipped out. As we strolled along the waterfront later that afternoon beneath umbrellas shielding us from sporadic showers, laughter punctuated our conversations like raindrops falling onto pavement. a delightful rhythm drawing us closer together amidst swirling clouds above us. We paused occasionally to admire street performers or watch families darting through puddles. Each shared glance ignited an electricity between us that made it hard to breathe sometimes, a thrill mixed with trepidation threading through every interaction we shared. Yet despite these moments filled with lightness came echoes from home, the responsibilities waiting back where they belonged, the mundane chores left undone and unanswered messages piling up on my phone screen like unspoken truths begging for attention. As we walked side by side along those winding paths lined by trees whose leaves danced gracefully in tandem with gusts of wind swirling around us, I felt alive yet conflicted, a quiet storm brewing within as whispers turned into roars demanding resolution before nightfall arrived, once again cloaked in shadows cast by uncertainty looming ahead. Our laughter faded into silence when Jake suddenly turned towards me, his expression serious yet softening under dimming light filtered through clouds above us, casting shadows across his features, an intensity radiating from him that took my breath away momentarily before words escaped him altogether, leaving only lingering tension hanging thickly between us. The air was thick with unspoken words as we stood there, the world around us fading into a blur. Jake's gaze held mine, and for a fleeting moment, the weight of my life fell away. The laughter and lightness we had shared earlier felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the gravity of this moment. I could see the questions in his eyes, searching for answers I was not ready to give. "Is this," he started, but I raised a hand to silence him. The uncertainty hung heavily between us, an invisible barrier that felt both suffocating and exhilarating. I took a step back, breaking the spell that had woven itself around us. My heart raced as guilt intertwined with desire, each emotion battling for dominance. "We should probably head back," I suggested, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. He nodded slowly, but his expression betrayed a flicker of disappointment. We resumed our walk, the silence stretching between us like an unbridgeable chasm. As we approached the cafe on Alberta Street where we had first met, I could hear the soft murmur of conversation and clinking cups spilling out onto the sidewalk. The warmth from within beckoned like an old friend, offering comfort amidst my inner chaos. Yet even here, surrounded by laughter and chatter, I felt isolated, trapped in my thoughts. Over coffee, as steam curled upwards from our mugs, I tried to focus on mundane topics, the latest festival in town and our favorite local bands. But each word felt hollow. My mind drifted back to that moment in the park where everything shifted. The playful banter we shared turned into something deeper as we reminisced about our lives. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like to just escape?" he asked suddenly, breaking through my reverie. His eyes sparkled with mischief but also held a hint of sincerity that struck me hard. "Escape?" I echoed lightly while stirring my coffee absent-mindedly. "Yeah," he continued earnestly. "Just leave everything behind for a bit, no responsibilities or expectations." The thought lingered in my mind longer than it should have. My life felt like an endless cycle of obligations, work deadlines, household chores, and social commitments that drained me more than fulfilled me. A flicker of excitement ignited within me, a desire to break free from it all even if just for a moment. "I suppose it sounds nice," I replied softly. He leaned closer across the table, his warmth radiated towards me as if inviting me into his world, a world untainted by routine or regret. "Sometimes you just need to take risks," he whispered with conviction. Those words hung in the air between us like a challenge waiting to be answered. My heart raced at the thought of crossing lines, of stepping outside my carefully constructed boundaries where safety reigned supreme but joy often eluded me. In that charged atmosphere filled with possibility and trepidation, Jake reached across the table and brushed his fingers against mine, an innocent touch that sent shivers down my spine. A jolt of electricity passed between us. It was as if he had unlocked something deep within me that had long been dormant. I hesitated for only a moment before responding to his touch. It ignited something primal within me, a longing that had been buried beneath layers of duty and expectation for years now resurfacing violently demanding acknowledgement. We kissed. The words slipped out almost breathlessly before I could stop them, the confession hanging heavily between us like an unspoken promise wrapped in vulnerability. Jake's eyes widened slightly before he broke into a smile, a mixture of surprise and delight illuminating his features as if confirming what we both knew yet dared not say aloud. This was more than mere attraction, it was awakening. But along with exhilaration came guilt, the nagging reminder of my husband's absence weighing heavily on my conscience like an anchor dragging me down into murky waters filled with doubt and shame. The thrill coursing through me was tainted by fear, the fear of consequences lurking just beyond this fleeting moment of bliss. As our coffee cups emptied slowly amidst our quiet exchanges filled with stolen glances laden with unsaid promises, the reality loomed large over every whispered word exchanged between us. I couldn't help but wonder how long this fragile connection could survive once daylight broke through our secretive cocoon. Later that evening, after parting ways outside the cafe, I walked home under dim streetlights illuminating cracked pavement leading towards familiar shadows cast by trees lining sidewalks. The weight on my shoulders felt heavier than ever before as uncertainty gnawed at me, relentlessly urging clarity amidst chaos swirling around inside like autumn leaves caught in tumultuous winds ready to scatter away from their branches. Arriving at home, quiet enveloping everything around me, I stood at the threshold staring into darkness where silence reigned supreme except for distant sounds echoing through empty halls, waiting patiently for someone who would never return tonight. I found myself standing there longer than necessary, contemplating choices made earlier today while wrestling against lingering doubts clouding judgment. It seemed so easy to lose myself in moments spent together, yet far more challenging to confront what lay ahead when faced with reality once again. The clock ticked steadily, reminding me time continued its relentless march forward regardless of personal dilemmas unfolding behind closed doors. It echoed through stillness, amplifying solitude surrounding every corner, waiting patiently for answers yet unknown. In those quiet moments alone, I reflected on how swiftly everything shifted within such short spans. How one simple encounter led to revelations previously hidden beneath layers built over years spent conforming expectations imposed upon myself until now. But even amidst all confusion swirling around, I couldn't shake off feeling alive again. A spark ignited deep within, awakening desires long forgotten buried beneath responsibilities demanding attention day after day without fail. As night deepened outside, casting shadows across walls where memories lingered hauntingly close, I resolved silently within to embrace whatever came next without fear or regret, holding back from truly living again despite consequences looming ahead, waiting patiently along paths yet unexplored. The air was thick with unspoken words as I walked beside him, the city lights flickering like stars in the night sky. We had decided to take a stroll along the waterfront, a place where laughter and joy mingled with the gentle sounds of the river. The evening felt electric, charged with possibilities that made my heart race. He glanced at me, his eyes bright with youthful enthusiasm. "Do you come here often?" he asked, his voice light yet probing. "Not as much as I'd like," I replied, my gaze drifting to the water reflecting the shimmering lights. The truth was, I hadn't come here at all in years. Life had swept me away into a routine that left little room for spontaneity. As we walked, our conversation flowed easily, punctuated by moments of silence that felt comfortable rather than awkward. With each step, I found myself drawn deeper into his world, a world filled with dreams and ambitions that reminded me of who I once was before settling into my current life. "Have you ever thought about what you want to do next?" he asked suddenly, breaking my reverie. I paused, considering his question carefully. "I suppose I've been too busy thinking about what I should be doing," I admitted. "There's always something that needs attention, work, home, everything feels like an obligation." He nodded thoughtfully. "You deserve to explore what makes you happy too." The sincerity in his voice struck a chord within me. It was refreshing to hear someone so young speak about happiness without the weight of responsibility pressing down on them. I felt a longing awaken inside, a yearning for freedom from the constraints of my own life. We reached a secluded bench overlooking the river and sat down, our shoulders brushing against each other. The intimacy of the moment sent shivers down my spine as I stole glances at him, his features illuminated by soft moonlight, an aura of innocence surrounding him that contrasted sharply with my own burdens. "I don't know how to explain it," he said softly after a moment of silence lingered between us. "But there's something about being here with you." Before he could finish his thought, something shifted in the air around us, a magnetic pull drawing us closer together. Our eyes locked in an unspoken agreement. Both of us understood this moment held significance beyond mere friendship. In an instant fueled by vulnerability and desire, our lips met, a fleeting connection that ignited a fire within me long thought extinguished. The kiss was soft yet electrifying. It felt like stepping into uncharted territory where rules no longer applied. As we pulled away from each other slightly breathless, reality crashed back and like a wave against rocks. My heart raced not just from excitement but also from fear of what this meant for both of us moving forward. "What just happened?" he breathed out in disbelief. "Something unexpected," I murmured back, feeling a mix of exhilaration and dread coiling tightly within me. The warmth radiating between us faded into uncertainty as we sat there processing what had transpired. My mind raced through countless scenarios. What if this changed everything? What if it didn't? "I shouldn't have kissed you," I finally said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. His expression shifted from surprise to understanding. He didn't push for explanations or apologies but simply nodded as if acknowledging an unspoken truth we both shared. "We can forget it happened," he suggested gently, though his eyes betrayed reluctance at the idea. Could we? Part of me wanted to retreat back into safety, the familiar routine where nothing unexpected ever occurred, but another part craved more moments like this one filled with raw emotion and authenticity. As we resumed our walk along the waterfront under starlit skies punctuated by laughter echoing nearby from festival-goers celebrating life's joys around us, I grappled internally between two worlds, one tethered firmly to responsibilities and expectations while another shimmered brightly ahead beckoning me toward possibilities unknown. Days passed since that kiss, a moment suspended in time, and yet its impact lingered heavily within me like an unresolved chord waiting for resolution amidst chaos swirling around daily life once more encroaching upon my thoughts. My husband would return soon after weeks away on business trips filled with meetings and obligations leaving little room for connection between us lately. Our conversations reduced down mundane exchanges discussing schedules or household matters devoid passion or intimacy long since faded into routine. One afternoon while preparing dinner alone at home, the aroma filling every corner reminding me how solitary moments sometimes amplified feelings deeper than expected, I found myself lost once again reflecting upon choices made throughout years spent building this life alongside someone who had become more like a roommate than partner over time. What did it mean to feel alive again? To experience emotions previously buried beneath layers built up over years spent prioritizing everyone else's needs first? I couldn't deny how exhilarating those stolen moments felt shared quietly between two people navigating paths diverging unexpectedly yet powerfully together despite age differences looming large casting shadows across lives intertwined briefly. The doorbell rang unexpectedly jolting me back into reality. My heart skipped as anticipation coursed through veins realizing it could be him arriving earlier than planned. Stepping outside onto porch greeted by warm evening breeze ushering memories flooding back instantly. The laughter shared during walks turned intimate conversations mingling effortlessly transforming ordinary days into extraordinary ones forever etched deep within memory banks. He stood there smiling brightly holding flowers, a simple gesture yet powerful enough sending ripples through emotions already stirred inside creating waves crashing against shores built upon familiarity alone. "Thought these might brighten your day," he said casually offering them forward, their colors vibrant against backdrop fading light illuminating everything around us beautifully. "Thank you," I replied, feeling warmth spreading across cheeks, unable shake sensation blooming deep down, realizing how much these moments meant now compared previous exchanges filled only obligations weighing heavy upon shoulders day after day without fail. As evening wore on, we shared stories, laughing freely, reminiscing about childhood dreams, aspirations lost somewhere along journey taken together. It became clear how quickly connections developed between two souls seeking solace amidst chaos surrounding lives lived apart until now. Yet somewhere beneath surface lingered thoughts nagging, reminding me soon enough reality would return, demanding attention once more, leaving bittersweet taste lingering behind whenever those fleeting glimpses happiness appeared, unexpectedly illuminating darkness surrounding daily existence. And still, I couldn't help but wonder if perhaps embracing uncertainty might lead toward something greater beyond confines established long ago. Or would it merely plunge deeper into abyss, uncertainty reigniting fears previously quelled beneath layers built up over time, guarding hearts against potential pain awaiting just beyond horizon. As the evening deepened, the city outside transformed into a tapestry of lights and shadows. We sat on the worn couch, the flicker of a candle casting soft glows across our faces. The air was thick with unspoken words, yet comfortable silence enveloped us. I found solace in this moment, a reprieve from the chaos of my routine life. He spoke softly about his dreams, aspirations that felt so distant from my own. I listened intently, absorbing his youthful enthusiasm like a sponge soaking up water. It reminded me of who I once was, full of hope and ambition before settling into the predictable rhythm of my life. Each story he shared peeled back layers of my own discontent, revealing a yearning for something more. "Do you ever think about what you want?" he asked suddenly, his gaze piercing through the dim light. The question lingered in the air like a fragile bubble ready to burst. What did I want? The answer eluded me, slipping through my fingers like sand. My mind drifted to my husband's absence and the weight of expectations that had settled upon me over the years. "I don't know," I replied finally, feeling vulnerability wash over me. "I guess I've just been going through the motions." He nodded, an understanding smile creeping onto his face. "Sometimes that's all we can do until something shakes us awake." His words resonated deeply within me, awakening feelings I had buried beneath layers of responsibility and routine. As we continued talking late into the night, laughter punctuated our conversation, a sound so foreign yet so liberating amidst my usual silence. Hours slipped by unnoticed until fatigue began to tug at my eyelids. He suggested we call it a night, but as he stood to leave, an impulse surged through me, a desire to hold on to this fleeting moment just a little longer. "Stay," I said impulsively, not fully grasping what that meant. He hesitated for a heartbeat before nodding slowly. "Okay." We spent the night together, no plans or promises made, just two souls seeking warmth in each other's company amidst the cold reality waiting beyond dawn. The boundaries blurred between friendship and something deeper as we nestled into each other's presence. In those quiet hours, we shared stories that revealed fragments of our lives, his childhood dreams and my past regrets intermingling like threads woven into an intricate tapestry. Each word exchanged felt significant, they were pieces of ourselves laid bare without judgment. But even as comfort enveloped us like a warm blanket, an unsettling thought crept in, the reality of tomorrow loomed large over our intimacy. My husband would return soon enough, bringing with him all the responsibilities I'd tried to escape for just one night. I caught myself glancing at the clock occasionally as if time could be manipulated by sheer willpower alone. Each tick echoed reminders that this was temporary, a fleeting escape from a life where choices were already made long ago. When morning light finally broke through the curtains, illuminating our surroundings with its harsh brightness, it felt jarring against our shared cocoon of warmth from last night. The stark contrast tugged at something deep within me, a reminder that this was merely an interlude in an otherwise scripted play. He stirred beside me, his eyes blinking open to meet mine with a sleepy smile that sent jolts of warmth coursing through me again. For a moment, everything felt perfect, until reality intruded once more. "Do you have to go?" I asked softly, not wanting to break this fragile spell we had woven together overnight. "I should," he replied reluctantly as he sat up and rubbed his eyes. "But, can I see you again?" The question hung heavily between us like an unspoken agreement waiting to be forged or shattered by choice. A part of me wanted to say yes, to dive deeper into whatever this was becoming, but another part clung desperately to caution and reason. "I don't know," I admitted quietly while searching for clarity amid swirling emotions within me. His expression shifted then. Uncertainty flickered across his features as if he sensed my internal struggle weighing down on both of us now more than ever before. "Maybe it's best if we don't," he suggested tentatively after a pause filled with tension thick enough to slice through with words left unspoken. A pang shot through me at those words, an acknowledgement that perhaps this connection could only exist in these stolen moments away from reality where consequences didn't loom overhead like dark clouds threatening rain at any moment. "I understand," I said finally despite how much it hurt. Clarity came wrapped in sadness sometimes too heavy to bear alone without support tethering one down firmly against ground beneath their feet, the ground which felt increasingly unstable beneath mine lately. We dressed in silence while avoiding each other's gaze until finally standing face to face again. Two people caught between worlds, neither fully belonging nor wanting entirely out, yet unable to stay forever suspended either. As we stepped outside into brisk morning air tinged with fresh possibility mingled alongside bittersweet nostalgia lingering just beyond reach, still tethering us both back toward what lay ahead without either truly knowing how best navigate paths diverging now. And then there it was, the unmistakable sound echoing off pavement behind us. Tires crunching gravel signaling arrival, familiar enough, sending shivers racing down spine, reminding me exactly who would soon reclaim space once occupied by fleeting moments shared here together. My heart raced as realization dawned. I had mere minutes left before everything shifted back into place once again, leaving only memories behind marked by longing intertwined deeply within, heart still beating fiercely against walls built around protecting self from further pain suffered previously. "Goodbye," he whispered softly, stepping back toward car parked nearby awaiting him patiently while I stood frozen rooted spot, unsure whether take final step forward or retreat, instead allowing distance grow wider than ever imagined possible between two souls who barely knew each other yet felt connected somehow regardless. And just like that, he was gone, leaving echoes behind, lingering bittersweet taste reminding always choices made carry weight far heavier than anticipated when faced head-on under bright light, illuminating truths hidden away for far too long. As I stood there, the silence of the evening weighed heavily on me. The air was thick with unspoken words, and the fading light seemed to mock my indecision. I watched him walk away, his silhouette receding into the shadows, and a part of me wanted to call out, to bridge that growing distance. But what would I say? Stay? That seemed impossible now. I turned slowly, my heart a chaotic mix of longing and regret. The streets of Portland felt different, as if they were closing in around me. Each step away from him echoed with the weight of choices I had made. I had stepped into a world that felt vibrant and alive, yet now it felt like a dream slipping through my fingers. The cafe on Alberta Street beckoned with its warm glow, and I found myself drawn inside like a moth to a flame. The eclectic decor wrapped around me like an old friend, familiar yet distant. I settled at a corner table with a view of the door, hoping for clarity amidst the chaos swirling in my mind. My thoughts drifted back to our moments together, the laughter that had spilled over coffee cups and the warmth that enveloped us during those stolen hours. Each memory held its own bittersweet flavor, joy tinged with sorrow. The fleeting nature of our connection haunted me. As I sipped my coffee, an old friend entered, a woman from my past who had once been a confidant during tumultuous times. She spotted me immediately and approached with an easy smile that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Hey! It's been ages," she exclaimed, her voice brightening the dim space around us. "Too long," I replied softly, forcing a smile as I gestured for her to sit down. We exchanged pleasantries about life and work, but beneath our casual conversation lay an undercurrent of something deeper, an understanding that both of us were navigating our own storms in silence. After a few moments, she leaned in closer. "You seem different," she noted carefully. "Is everything okay?" I hesitated before answering. How could I explain? My heart was heavy with secrets too tangled to unravel in just a few words. "Just reflecting on life choices," I managed finally. Her brows furrowed slightly as she studied me. "You know it's never too late to make changes if you're unhappy." Her words struck a chord deep within me, an echo of thoughts I had been wrestling with since this all began. What did happiness even look like for me anymore? Was it found in fleeting moments or long-term commitments? "I've been thinking about taking some time for myself," I confessed quietly, feeling vulnerable under her gaze. "Like a break?" she asked gently. "Yes," I nodded slowly. "A break from everything." She smiled knowingly but didn't press further. Perhaps she sensed the weight behind my decision was more complex than mere escapism. As we continued talking about mundane topics, jobs, family, I felt lighter somehow. Sharing even small pieces of my truth eased the pressure building inside me. When we finally parted ways, dusk had settled over Portland like a soft blanket. My heart still raced from our conversation. It ignited something within, a flicker of hope amidst uncertainty. Maybe stepping back wasn't just about distancing myself from him but also about rediscovering who I was outside this whirlwind romance. That night at home felt different without his presence beside me. The quiet echoed louder than usual in our empty house. My husband would return soon from his trip. Part of me dreaded facing him while another part craved normalcy again. The routine that once provided comfort now felt stifling instead. I wandered through each room as memories washed over me, our laughter in the kitchen while cooking dinner or quiet evenings spent reading side by side on the couch, all tinged now with an awareness that something essential had shifted within me. The next morning brought sunlight streaming through the windows, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air, a reminder that life continued unabated despite personal upheavals raging beneath its surface. With coffee warming my hands, I made my way to Powell's City of Books. Perhaps losing myself among stories would offer solace today. The scent of old pages greeted me as soon as I stepped inside, the comforting aroma wrapping around me like an embrace from another time when life felt simpler and more predictable. As I browsed through shelves filled with tales waiting to be discovered anew, each book whispered promises of adventure beyond my current reality. In one corner section dedicated to self-discovery and growth stood a collection titled Awakening. Intrigued by its title alone, I pulled it off the shelf and began flipping through pages filled with insights about embracing change and finding one's true self amidst chaos, a reflection mirroring my own journey these past weeks. Hours slipped by unnoticed until hunger pangs reminded me it was time to leave this refuge behind reality once more. Just before stepping out onto bustling streets again though, I paused briefly at an open window overlooking Portland's waterfront park where people gathered enjoying warm summer breezes, filled laughter echoing throughout vibrant city life below. Suddenly struck by an overwhelming urge to reclaim parts lost along this winding path, I took one last breath before heading back home, determined not just for myself but also for what could be ahead if only courage allowed. Arriving home later that evening brought familiar sights yet carried an unfamiliar weight, the realization settling deep within. Change waited patiently outside these walls, ready when summoned forth. But then came his voice, unexpectedly breaking through silence as he entered carrying groceries, his presence grounding yet unsettling, all at once reminding how intertwined lives often become despite separate journeys taken. "Hey, you're home early," he said casually, glancing toward where I'd been lost in thought moments prior, unaware how fragile this balance truly felt now, standing between two worlds colliding. "Yeah," came my reply, barely above whisper, feeling tension rising within confined space between us. a divide widening quietly without either acknowledging existence, looming overhead, ready to upend everything once believed secure. And just then, a choice loomed larger than ever before, casting shadows across paths diverging ahead, leaving little room for retreat or hesitation anymore. The silence stretched between us, heavy and palpable, as I searched for words that could bridge the widening gap. His gaze held a mixture of hope and uncertainty, a reflection of my own tumultuous thoughts. The air felt charged with unspoken truths, each moment ticking away like the hands of a clock counting down to an inevitable conclusion. "I just don't want to hurt you," I finally managed to say, the weight of that statement pressing down on me. It was true, the last thing I wanted was to cause him pain. Yet here we were, caught in this delicate web we had spun together, and I could feel its strands beginning to fray. He nodded slowly, his expression shifting from anticipation to resignation. "I understand," he replied softly. "But what do you really want?" That question hung in the air like a specter. What did I want? The thrill of our secret moments danced tantalizingly at the edges of my mind, but they were overshadowed by the reality of my life, the life I had built with my husband, filled with years of shared memories and commitments. It felt disloyal to even entertain the thought of choosing something else. "I don't know," I admitted, frustration lacing my voice. "Everything feels so complicated right now." "Complicated is one way to put it," he said with a hint of bitterness creeping into his tone. "But maybe it's more about what we're both willing to face." His words struck a chord deep within me. Facing the truth had never been easy. It was easier to hide behind fleeting moments and stolen kisses than confront the reality that lay ahead. The idea that we might be standing on opposite sides of an emotional chasm became painfully clear. "Maybe we're just looking for different things," he continued, his voice steadier now, as if he had come to terms with something profound. "I'm not asking you to choose me over your life, I just thought, maybe there was more." The ache in my chest deepened at his honesty. He deserved someone who could give him clarity, someone who wasn't tethered by obligations and expectations that weighed heavily on her heart. But how could I let go? How could I walk away from this connection that had ignited something within me? As if sensing my turmoil, he reached out tentatively, brushing his fingers against mine, a simple gesture that felt monumental in its significance. "We can walk away without animosity," he suggested gently. "No hard feelings." I wanted to believe him. Part of me yearned for an amicable end without drama or resentment lingering like shadows after dusk. But another part clung desperately to the warmth we shared, the laughter, the late-night conversations that felt like home. "We've created something beautiful here," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. "Beautiful but fleeting," he countered softly, pulling his hand back as if acknowledging an unspoken boundary between us. The realization settled in like an unwelcome guest. Our time together was limited by circumstances beyond our control, a ticking clock reminding us both that life would soon return to its routine monotony. "I'll always cherish what we had," I offered weakly, hoping it would suffice as a farewell. He nodded slowly again but didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked out at the river flowing steadily past us, an unyielding force reminding us both that time waits for no one. "I guess this is goodbye then?" His voice trembled slightly as he spoke those words. The finality hung heavy in the air between us, an invisible line drawn in sand waiting for waves to wash it away forever. Goodbye. The word felt foreign on my tongue yet necessary all at once, a release from something beautiful yet unsustainable. We stood there for what felt like an eternity before he turned away first, taking those tentative steps toward freedom while leaving me rooted in place, a statue carved from indecision and regret. As he walked away, each step echoed louder than thunder against the backdrop of Portland's skyline fading into dusk. A sense of loss enveloped me. It was not just about him but about everything I hadn't confronted within myself, the dreams deferred and paths not taken haunting me now more than ever before. I turned back toward the riverbank where memories danced among shadows cast by streetlights flickering overhead, remnants of laughter shared amidst stolen moments now drifting into oblivion like leaves caught in autumn's breath. In that moment alone by the water's edge with only echoes surrounding me, a sudden surge washed over me, a realization crashing through layers built over years spent tucked safely behind walls erected against vulnerability. This wasn't merely about losing him. It was about facing myself fully for perhaps the first time ever. And then came clarity, sharp as glass cutting through foggy uncertainty, but still accompanied by fear lurking beneath surface tension readying itself for fallout yet unseen. As darkness fell around me cloaking everything familiar within its embrace, I took one last look at where he disappeared into night's depths feeling uncertain about what lay ahead but knowing instinctively change was inevitable. The sun filtered through the cafe windows, casting a warm glow on the table where we sat. The atmosphere buzzed with the quiet hum of conversations and the clinking of cups. I glanced at him, his youthful features softened by the morning light. Today felt different, a heaviness lingered in the air, unspoken yet palpable. I wanted to talk, he said, breaking the silence that had settled between us like a thick blanket. His eyes held a seriousness that made my heart quicken. I nodded, bracing myself for what was to come. The weight of our shared moments hung heavily in my chest, memories flashing like snippets from a film, each one more vivid than the last. About what? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. About us, he replied, his gaze unwavering. I think we both know this can't continue. Each word felt like a gentle but firm push away from something I had come to cherish. A part of me wanted to argue, to cling to the fleeting joy we had discovered together. But another part understood, this was not sustainable. Yeah, I said softly, feeling an ache settle deep within me. I know. It was strange how acceptance could feel both liberating and suffocating at once. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing against mine, an electric moment that sent a shiver through me despite its finality. You've brought so much light into my life, he continued, his voice low and sincere. But it's time for both of us to move on. The words hung in the air like an unfinished symphony, resonating with unfulfilled promises and potential futures that would never be realized. I took a breath, forcing down the swell of emotions threatening to rise within me. What do you want to do? I asked after a moment of silence stretched between us. I thought maybe, he hesitated for just a beat before continuing. We could have one last lunch together? A proper goodbye? The idea felt bittersweet, I knew it was necessary yet dreaded it all the same. Okay, I said finally, nodding slowly as if sealing an unspoken pact between us. As we finished our drinks and prepared to leave, he pulled something from his bag, a small box wrapped in plain brown paper tied with twine. This is for you, he said shyly, offering it across the table. I stared at it for a moment before taking it from him gently. My fingers traced over the rough texture of the paper as curiosity mingled with apprehension inside me. Open it later, he suggested with a soft smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Thank you, I replied quietly, tucking it away into my bag as we walked out into Portland's bustling streets. The city felt alive around us, vibrant colors painted across storefronts and laughter spilling from nearby patios filled with people enjoying their day under the sun. Yet somehow everything felt muted as we made our way toward our chosen restaurant, a quaint little place tucked away on Alberta Street that had become our haven during these secret encounters. As we settled into our seats at an outdoor table adorned with small potted plants and colorful umbrellas swaying gently overhead, memories flooded back, the laughter shared over meals, whispered secrets exchanged under starry skies during late-night walks home. It's been special, I murmured after a moment of reflection, searching for words that would encapsulate everything this experience had meant without falling into clichés or sentimentality. He nodded solemnly but didn't respond right away as if weighing each word carefully before speaking again. You've changed my perspective on so many things, he finally said after taking a sip of water from his glass. A warmth spread through me at his admission. This connection had transformed both our lives in ways neither of us could have anticipated when we first met weeks ago. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said softly, meaning every word even though uncertainty loomed ahead like an unwritten chapter waiting to unfold. "I will," he replied confidently but with an edge of sadness threading through his tone, a reminder that endings often carry their own weight alongside new beginnings. Our conversation drifted toward lighter topics, the city's upcoming festivals and favorite spots around town, yet beneath those exchanges lay an unspoken acknowledgement of what was happening between us, two souls parting ways after sharing something profound yet fleeting amidst life's chaos. As lunch drew to a close and plates were cleared away leaving only remnants behind, an empty glass here or crumpled napkin there, I felt time slipping away like sand through fingers grasping desperately at moments long gone by now filled with nostalgia mixed with bittersweet sorrow. "Let's take one last walk," he suggested suddenly standing up from his chair while extending his hand toward me invitingly, a gesture filled with warmth even amidst impending goodbyes echoing softly around us like whispers carried by gentle breezes weaving through trees lining streets nearby adorned in vibrant hues signaling summer's arrival soon approaching its peak season ahead. I took his hand without hesitation feeling comforted by its familiarity as we strolled along sidewalks lined with eclectic shops bursting forth colors reflecting artistic expressions unique only here in Portland where creativity thrived unabashedly, within every corner waiting patiently for discovery. We talked about dreams yet fulfilled, the paths taken leading each of us toward different futures unknown but undoubtedly brightened by shared experiences forged during late nights spent unraveling layers hidden beneath life's complexities revealing truths long buried deep within hearts yearning for connection, amid chaos swirling all around them. Eventually reaching Powell's City of Books, the smell of old pages mingling pleasantly with fresh coffee brewing nearby stirred up memories long forgotten tucked safely away somewhere within recesses hidden beneath layers formed over years spent lost chasing shadows cast upon walls built high enough blocking out sunlight filtering down illuminating paths once traveled now obscured. Standing there surrounded by shelves towering overhead filled with stories waiting patiently for readers eager enough brave enough willing enough open-minded enough embrace journeys unfolding before them seeking solace among tales spun intricately weaving together threads, connecting lives lived fully embracing moments cherished deeply etched forever into fabric woven tightly binding souls together against odds stacked high against them. In that serene sanctuary amidst chaos outside, I turned toward him searching those familiar eyes hoping somehow they would offer reassurance even though deep down inside already aware reality loomed ahead casting shadows longer than anticipated leading swiftly toward inevitable separation approaching fast upon horizon stretching endlessly before us beckoning forth change whether welcomed or feared alike. "There's so much left unsaid." His voice broke through thoughts swirling around inside mind pulling focus back onto present moment reminding me how fragile connections can be despite strength found within them often fleeting just like whispers carried upon winds blowing softly past ears listening closely, searching desperately longing desperately holding tight onto fragments left behind remnants scattered along pathways traveled far too quickly slipping away unnoticed until too late. With one last lingering glance exchanged filled simultaneously gratitude, sadness, understanding, acceptance, we stepped outside into bright afternoon sun shining brightly overhead illuminating faces turned upward gazing skyward searching answers hidden somewhere beyond clouds drifting lazily overhead casting shadows dancing lightly across pavement beneath feet moving forward deliberately onward embracing whatever lies ahead awaiting discovery patiently tucked just beyond reach waiting quietly. Ready reveal itself when least expected. As we stepped outside, the warmth of the sun enveloped me, a stark contrast to the chill settling in my heart. The laughter and chatter from festival goers floated through the air, a reminder of life continuing unabated around us. I took a deep breath, inhaling deeply as if trying to draw in the vibrancy of this moment, yet it felt heavy with unspoken words. "Thank you for everything," he said softly, his eyes searching mine for something, understanding perhaps, or maybe just reassurance that this wasn't truly goodbye. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. You too, I managed to reply, my voice barely above a whisper. The weight of our shared experiences hung between us like an invisible thread slowly unraveling. We walked side by side toward the riverbank, where families gathered on blankets and couples strolled hand in hand. Each step felt heavier than the last as I grappled with the reality of our parting. The festival was alive with color and music, yet all I could see were shades of gray. Do you think we'll ever meet again? He asked suddenly, breaking through my reverie. I don't know, I admitted honestly. Life has a way of taking us down different paths. He looked away for a moment, his jaw tightening slightly as if bracing against an unseen force. I wish it didn't have to end like this. It doesn't have to be an end, I replied quickly, but even as the words left my mouth, doubt crept in. What did that even mean? A part of me longed for more time with him, another part yearned for closure. We found a quiet spot near the water's edge where we could sit without being disturbed by the lively crowd around us. The rhythmic lapping of waves against the shore provided a soothing backdrop to our silence. I watched as ducks paddled lazily by and children chased each other across the grass. Do you remember that cafe on Alberta Street? He asked suddenly, breaking our silence again. A smile tugged at my lips as memories flooded back, our shared laughter over coffee and pastries that felt like stolen moments from another life. Yes, I replied softly. How could I forget? His gaze met mine again, intense and searching as if he were trying to memorize every detail of this moment before it slipped away entirely. I'll always remember it, he said quietly. A knot formed in my stomach at his words. It felt like both a promise and an acknowledgement that this chapter was closing, a chapter filled with unexpected joy amidst confusion and turmoil. I hope you find what you're looking for, he continued after a pause, his tone earnest yet tinged with sadness. And you, I replied instinctively, though uncertainty gnawed at me. What did either of us truly seek? Was it simply escape from our realities or something deeper? As we lingered there in silence, surrounded by laughter and music echoing from afar, I felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, to hold on to him just a little longer, but reason held me back. This wasn't meant to last, it couldn't be anything more than what it was, fleeting yet profound. Eventually, he stood up abruptly and extended his hand toward me. Let's take one last walk. I hesitated but then took his hand willingly. Together we wandered along the waterfront path lined with vibrant flowers swaying gently in the breeze, a beautiful distraction from what lay ahead. Look at those kites, he exclaimed suddenly as colorful shapes danced against the blue sky above us. I looked up too, bright colors fluttered like dreams just out of reach. For a moment, joy bubbled within me, a reminder that life still held wonders even amidst heartache. Let's get one, he suggested impulsively. The childlike excitement in his voice stirred something within me, a longing for simplicity amidst complexity, but practicality reigned supreme in my mind. We should probably head back soon. His expression fell slightly but then brightened again as if refusing to let go completely just yet. Just one more moment? I nodded despite myself, perhaps indulging in this small whim would ease some weight on both our hearts, even if only temporarily. As we approached a vendor selling kites nearby, laughter erupted from children running around us, an orchestra of innocence that contrasted sharply with our situation. We chose a bright red kite adorned with white stars, its vibrant colors promising adventure even if only against the backdrop of impending separation. With kite string tightly wound around my fingers and wind whipping through my hair as we ran together along the bank, the world faded away until all that remained was laughter echoing into thin air like whispers carried off by gentle winds stirring memories long tucked away. But moments later reality crashed back down when I stumbled slightly on uneven ground, the string slipping through my fingers just enough for panic to set in as I watched our kite soar higher into the sky before disappearing beyond sight altogether. Wait. His voice broke through my thoughts again, urgency laced through his tone as he turned toward me quickly, eyes wide with concern, only for them to flicker downwards briefly before meeting mine once more, filled now not just with worry but something else entirely. The realization hit hard. This was it, the culmination of everything we had shared now unraveling before us like frayed threads coming undone under pressure. I have to go. His voice trembled slightly, a whisper barely audible above festival sounds surrounding us, but somehow carrying weight far beyond mere words spoken aloud. The finality echoed between us like thunder rumbling off distant hills, heavy clouds gathering overhead threatening storms yet unseen. And just like that, the kite lost forever within vastness above, mirrored emotions swirling inside each heartbeat pounding louder against chest, rising steadily towards inevitable conclusion, waiting patiently beyond horizon, fading fast.